This involves me, 25 male, my sister Diana, 31, and her son Darius, tween. I get along with my Diana fine. I won't pretend I like Darius. I think he's an entitled brat who has gotten away with crap far too many times. I don't think Diana has ever reprimanded him, and every time the little idiot acts up, Diana makes excuses for him. He's already been suspended from school for stealing, he's a bully to all his cousins, and I know for a fact no one in my family likes him at all. Both of my parents can't stand him. My mother, a woman who could find the love in her heart to babysit a honey badger, refuses to watch Darius because of his behaviour. My father will take all of the grandkids out to fish every few months, except for Darius because he's too tempted to throw him out into the lake and drive off. His words, not mine. On Monday, I got a call from my sister who panicked because she got called into work. Darius was out of school and her babysitter wasn't available. No one else in the family would watch Darius, so I told her to drop him off and I would watch him. It was a nightmare. Darius was mad he had to spend his day off at my place. He refused to do anything I offered, made a mess in my bathroom, harassed my dog, and had a tantrum because I wouldn't let him use my work computer to play games. By lunchtime, I was frustrated beyond all belief. I made him mac and cheese and he demanded I take him to Wendy's. He refused to eat and eventually dumped his bowl of food on my floor. At that, I lost it. I didn't yell or get aggressive at all. I just sighed and asked him if he realized everyone in the family despised him. I explained that he was at my house because Grandma and Grandpa couldn't stand him and in fact refused to let him come to their house because he acts like a little idiot. I won't lie, I got pretty brutal. He started crying and locked himself in my bathroom until he came out and sat and watched TV until my sister got him. I told her what had happened, and she and I also got into a massive argument. She called me cruel, and I told her that she was to blame and that he would have learned eventually. My family is split on this. My dad thinks the little idiot deserved it, while my siblings have mixed opinions. My mother has told me she's staying out of this, but if I feel the need to apologize, do it and move on. What do you people think? Edit, we've talked to Diana about this before. My parents sat her down and told her they would not watch Darius because of how he behaved and that she needed to do something else. We've all had talks with her about him bullying his cousins. She has done nothing. Not the idiot, you did him a huge favour. Obviously nothing anyone has said or done so far has made any impact. He needs to know that his behaviour is already costing him relationships and will continue to cost him relationships until he chooses not to act this way. Sometimes the truth is hard to hear, but when the truth is all that's left, that's what you've got to do. Sugarcoating the situation would not have gotten the point across, and avoiding it sure wasn't. Hopefully the pain and rejection he feels will be a huge wake-up call. If it's not, he will have a very lonely life. I hope you've saved him from that. Disagree, you are the idiot. He's a young tween. He's been raised badly. He didn't just wake up one day and decide, you know what, I'm going to be a total idiot to everyone. This is your sister's failure, and as much as he is a total little idiot, it's not entirely his fault because he's never been taught better. It's better to talk about behavior and outcomes than make it about the kid. For example, instead of telling him that his actions cause people in the family not to want to be around him, which I would applaud, you told him that his grandparents loathe him. It's ineffective because it doesn't give him anything to change. Behaviors can be changed, but if you tell a kid that everyone hates them, that's them, not something they can change. His family is his whole world and all the people they rely on, and you told him that everyone in his world loathes his very being. That's what makes it cruel. You hit the nail on the head with this one. Correct his actions, tell him his behavior is crappy, but God, don't tell him everyone in his family hates him. As someone raised with no boundaries or rules and had to figure that stuff out on my own later in life, you internalize a lot of the crap people say to you. Apologize to Darius, not Mom. Your sister needs to seek professional help to help out this poor kid. I, 52 male, and my wife were on a 2-week vacation in Cancun, Mexico. We're from the US and planned all year for this trip, and we saved up money to be able to go on this trip. We booked and paid before my daughter was pregnant. It was our 6th day when our daughter's 26 boyfriend called us saying she was giving birth and we had to get on the next plane ride home. We were aware my daughter was soon to pop, but her due date was at the end of this month. Mind you, these events took place at the beginning of this month. We told him that was impossible and just to follow their birthing plan and to keep us updated. A few hours later, we got a call from my daughter updating us and then asking when we'd be on our way back and that she really wanted us to be here and that it was taking longer than expected, she was scared, etc. She's a first-time mom, so it was expected she would be scared. My wife and I assured her everything would be fine, but we were unable to just pack up and go. She got upset and hung up on me. Hours later, in the middle of the night, we missed a call due to us sleeping, and it was her boyfriend saying there were complications and they were performing an emergency C-section. The next morning we called immediately and our daughter told us she was scared and things could have gone badly and our Cancun trip was more important to us than her, then hung up. We tried to call back but she wouldn't answer. The baby was born healthy and our daughter is okay. We've only seen pictures of our grandchild through Facebook because our daughter hasn't let us see her and has barely spoken to us since we've been back home. We had planned to be there for our grandchild's birth, but we couldn't leave 6 days into a trip we'd spent a large amount of money on. Even if we did, we wouldn't make it back in time. Even if we did make it back, we wouldn't do anything the doctors couldn't do in the situation. I feel as though our daughter is being too harsh to us. We've apologized many times. Not the idiot. You can't just rush home from another country, and if you had, same-day tickets would have been astronomical. I take it your daughter is mad, but it's a no-win situation. You planned the trip way ahead, and you couldn't just rush home because traveling from another country doesn't work that way. Also, there are still health procedures in place, so chances are the nurses would have sent you home. I'm confused. Do people normally expect their grandparents to be witness to their grandchildren's birth? I personally never heard or experienced this around me. Weird. I wouldn't expect my dad to be there, and I love him to death. I don't know, whatever floats people's boats, I guess. A lot of women want their mothers there. A lot. It isn't unusual because, obviously, grandma has done it before, at least once successfully, and people tend to wish they had their parents for support in times of crises. One of my friends went a bit differently and had her mother-in-law there because her husband needed the support. So the male grandparent figure, not so much, but grandma? Yeah. OP, you could have done a thing for them. Even if you'd tried and booked a flight, losing the trip money and paid extra for the last-minute tickets, you would have missed the birth. They would have blamed you anyway. Why do I think they're blaming you? Because it was a stressful event. They weren't ready. Sadly, she is upset. I understand her need for comfort, but still, it wasn't your fault for not being there. So I would send her a message in which I would tell her how much you love her and miss her and how bad you feel for the way things happened and how you hope she will forgive you because you hurt her. She's emotional, but I think later on she'll see both sides of the story, and right now all you can do is apologize for hurting her. Recently, a friend, Anthony, and his wife Carly went through a nasty divorce. They had a child together about 2 years ago and things just weren't working between them. 1.5 months after the baby's birth, there were some issues with attraction. He felt it was getting monotonous. He was interested in pursuing other relationships and ended up finding a spark with a then co-worker, who's now his girlfriend, and the whole thing was just a mess. She did get child support and alimony, but there were issues with how his family structured their trust, which meant she left a lot on the table. Still, even now, it's not like she's actually below the poverty line or anything, so it's whatever. I didn't think we would be seeing much more of her since she's my friend's wife, who we weren't particularly close with, and there's no real reason why we would need to have any more contact than him, given that she was his wife. However, my girlfriend has been getting together and commiserating with her for some reason. Their conflict, which I have deliberately kept away from, is bleeding into my life too. My girlfriend keeps bringing up how unfair what my friend did was, how he's barely paying anything while they struggle, etc., etc., despite me saying that it's none of our business repeatedly. She's constantly passive-aggressive towards Anthony, even though he hasn't done anything to her. She's even brought Carly over while Anthony and I were hanging out, saying that she's her friend and she's allowed to have guests. As you can guess, this has led to some heated arguments. She's glad to know he's having fun eating edibles and playing video games with children. Yes, she even referred to our other friends and me as children, to our faces, we're both 22, while she's exhausted taking care of their child alone, etc. Now, keep in mind this is my house. My parents gifted me this condo when I graduated, and I paid all the utility bills. I'm letting my girlfriend stay here because her roommate didn't want to renew the lease. She's trying to frame this like I'm not letting her see her friends, which is absurd. She's clearly 100% in the wrong here, right? Am I the idiot, or is she for trying to bring this woman into our home? So, your friend dumped his wife when life got monotonous after the birth of his child. but he fought hard to ensure she and his child got the minimum he had to pay them. Your girlfriend thought this stunk and isn't afraid to say so while you go hang out with your bro. You are the idiot. Find better friends and learn how to stand up for what's right from your girlfriend. He lasted a whole 1.5 months after his child was born. LMAO, this is so predictable. Mom didn't lose all the baby weight. Dad doesn't want to be a dad. Dad straight up cheats. Dude's friend thinks this is all fine. OP is just as spoiled as his friends. What do you expect? OP's 22, emphasizing my condo, which was gifted to him by mommy and daddy, pays all the utilities though, like Xbox Live, but in his mind it's quite an achievement. OP, some people can experience empathy for others. Your girlfriend empathizes with what your friend has done to her and to his own child, and she's upset about it. LOL, monotonous at 22? How much life has this man lived? Maybe he should have thought about that before marrying and having a child. So ridiculous. OP's friend is a cheater and a deadbeat father. The fact that OP is defending his friend's poor morals and behavior is disgusting and should be enough red flags for his girlfriend to dump him and dodge a bullet. Last weekend, my wife and I left town to attend a wedding. We left our nearly adult son at home and permitted him to have a small party. We told him not to allow too many people and not let it get out of control. On the night of the party, we checked our security cameras a few times and everything looked fine with no more than 40 kids. However, on the drive home, my wife received a call from a parent of a girl who'd been at the party. The girl had admitted she'd done illegal stuff at the party and said many others at the party had as well. However, she didn't say who supplied it. My wife spent the rest of the drive looking through the footage from that night, specifically to see who came inside. She recognized almost all the kids and didn't see anyone that looked older than a high schooler. However, she did spot one boy that she was immediately suspicious of. He's a longtime friend of our son, but had been caught by another boy's parents last year smoking in their backyard. He's been known for getting in trouble in the past. His dad is currently in prison and his family is also poor, so it would make sense if he was selling crap to make money for himself. Unfortunately, we only have 2 cameras inside the house, so they only catch so much, but it was clear the boy spent most of the night in the kitchen and seemed to be approached by multiple people, including the girl. When we got home, we told our son about the phone call. After a long discussion, he confessed but said he wasn't interested in doing any himself and that he felt uncomfortable with it but didn't know how to tell them to stop. When we asked who had brought it, he said he didn't know. When we asked specifically about the boy we suspected, he denied it but seemed to be lying. My wife contacted many of the parents of the kids in the high school to let them know this might be an issue. When the school asked, we told them we suspected the boy, but it was unclear. Apparently, the school met with the boy about our allegations and called his guardian, his great-grandma. Yesterday, she came to our home and asked us why we'd singled out her grandson and wanted to know if we had any evidence. We told her that we only suspected. She became angry at us for pointing the finger without evidence and contacting the school. She accused us of profiling him based on his family and background. My wife doesn't think we did anything wrong, but I have doubts. The school is conducting interviews with kids that were at the party. Apparently, the boy is in danger of being kicked off the soccer team and possibly expelled, depending on the outcome. Am I the idiot? We were only trying to provide the best information we could to the parents and school to help protect their kids, as we obviously feel responsible for allowing this to happen in our home. Ugh, like you are the idiot for allowing your son to throw a party when you weren't home and somehow thinking that teens won't get in trouble. Also, yes, you are the idiot for essentially randomly deciding this one kid was responsible. Do you know who was actually responsible? The 2 of you. You go for the broke kid. LOL, if you're going to profile, at least do it right. Who were all the rich white girls at the party? One of Malibu Stacy's older brothers hooked her up before the party and the kids with money footed the bill. This was all planned. The girl who got busted was in on it and your son was in on it too. Agree. I know it wasn't the point, but 40 plus teenagers is a small party. A small party is not 40 plus kids, and of course, it being unsupervised with your permission is a perfect storm. You could be seriously ruining several kids' lives by calling the school. Why not just turn yourselves into the police for contributing to the delinquency? You were trying to be the cool dad and failed miserably. You should be dealing with the consequences of this and your bad judgment, not looking for a scapegoat. That poor boy. Congrats, you guys made this kid's already hard life even harder. I, 28 male, have this friend Charlotte, 29 female. Charlotte and I go back a long way. We were at a bar one night and we just happened to get into a small argument about something personal. So we spent a few minutes just bitterly drinking and not talking to each other when this weird guy walked up between us and started saying awful things to her. Charlotte kept glancing at me, and by the expression on her face, I could tell that she was completely frozen and wanted me to help her out. However, I was still bitter about our little disagreement, so I turned away from her, pulled out my phone and surfed the web. The guy talked to Charlotte for about 5 minutes and said the weirdest stuff. I couldn't help but glance back at Charlotte, and it looked like she was almost about to burst into tears. I decided that enough was enough and told the guy to take a hike. We got into a verbal fight, but the guy eventually left. Once we were sure that the guy had left for good and he wasn't just standing around waiting outside, I walked Charlotte back home. She just said passive-aggressive stuff like, "I hope you enjoyed yourself, and it's a good thing you took your sweet time." When we returned to her apartment, she was still angry at me. Am I the idiot? Oh God, you are the idiot. You held so much power in this situation, and you decided to use it to let your friend remain terrified. You intentionally used this to hurt her, not just petty normal fighting, but to allow someone else to abuse her actively. This could have put her in danger, and she knew that. She knew that you were okay with her being verbally abused, while you actively decided not to help. Yeah, you are the idiot. I cannot say enough times, you are the idiot. When a woman gives you the pleading "get me out of here" stare, you do it. Period. No matter how upset you are with her at the moment, the instant a creep harasses her and she signals you, you help. Heck, even if you don't know her and she's being clearly harassed, step in. This is how bad things happen, because no one steps in. The actual heck, dude. Did you really need the whole internet to tell you you're the idiot here? You're her friend and you just watched this happen and listened. I doubt you're friends much longer. I hope your mild argument with Charlotte was worth losing a friendship over. You broke so many friend codes by doing that. Who needs enemies with a friend like you?